would say I've been wanting to write a book for many, many years. So I'm 25 currently, and I began my spiritual journey when I was 19. And the reason I began the journey was because I met a guy in college who he made a presentation, a research presentation in front of our English college classroom. And this presentation, it was about Albert Einstein, energy, the power of music to heal. And I remember during that presentation I had chills all over my body, and it felt like this moment of complete quiet and just presence in the moment, and like everything that was going on in my life just kind of slipped away. And at that time it was very chaotic, everything that was going on in my life. Like there was the threat of homelessness. When I was 19, I didn't know where I was going to live, where I was going to go. And so when he made this presentation, it was like, there's my step. That's my opening, and that's exactly what I need to uncover and discover. So when I was 14 to 19, I talk about it in my book, A Journey into Truth, about the dark night of the soul. And in those years, it was a really tough time for me. So there was like a suicide attempt, there was a really tough breakup, just so many transitions and so many transformations, and a really dark period that ended up leading to my life's purpose and fulfillment. So when I was 19, I began the journey of really trying to discover or understand spiritual ideas and the nature of reality, and things like what is the universe, and is there such thing as old souls or reincarnation. So I really wanted to discover the secrets that nobody knew about around me. What inspired me to write the book, as I said earlier, was throughout those 6 years, as I was discovering and uncovering and learning how many people don't have access to this information, how many people are in this state of feeling suicidal like I was, but actually didn't have a way out. I wanted to write the book to be able to help other people to get out of their own dark places. It seems like I'm kind of at the end of that discovery searching phase, so it was like the perfect timing to finally put it all into physical form. So this is A Journey into Truth, Unveiling Life's Secrets for Truth Seekers. It will be coming out on February 2nd, 2022. That's the release date. Writing the book, finally actually sitting down, I've been knowing for many years that I've been wanting to write it, but actually sitting down, I would say, so many authors say it like, I didn't write it, like something wrote it through me, or it was just this moment of finally just moving something through that wanted to come through you. And I've never understood what they meant, but I do now. Because it felt like it was just flowing through me in the way it wanted to come out on its own.
So once you got connected to your purpose and passion, and it was very clear to you, it became very easy to write it. In fact, it sounds like the flow was ongoing and you couldn't stop it because it was just coming out.
Right, yeah. I remember the first time that I opened up the proof copy of the book, and I remember just like sitting there in tears, because I was like, it's finally, like, this has been my dream to say I want to write a book and finally have it in my hands. So it's a very surreal moment when you're actually holding it and can like finally see the thing that you've spent so much time on and so much work on. So if I can help one person out of that dark place with this book, then I think it would all be worth it, is what I'm saying.
Wonderful. So your goal is to really help the person that is struggling. And as you've been helped, and it's very evident in your appearance and the way you're glowing and how happy you are, and the way you describe the book. You describe the book like a baby, you know, when somebody meets their baby for the first time, when you say, I hold it, and it was just beautiful. So there was a moment of joy, and I really hope that you could keep...
Many moments of joy all along the way, like especially when I saw the first, like the cover design, and finally seeing it there, because I had the idea in my head. I was driving one day, and I was thinking to myself, what should the cover look like? And I thought, I want it to have a tree, and I want the labyrinth to be, like a labyrinth to be the roots, and I want the background to be a starry night.
And I really see the dark night.
So, yeah, exactly. So you can see the labyrinth down here, and then the tree, and then this starry night here.
So is the labyrinth something you had to get through?
Right. So in the book, there is actually a story about a labyrinth that I went to, and was walking, and it had like this epiphany or this understanding about life because of walking this labyrinth. So I really wanted to have a labyrinth on the cover as well. And then I really wanted to have the blue butterfly on the back too, because it was a symbol of transformation. And in my ayahuasca ceremony, I saw a lot of blue butterflies as well, so I was like, it has to be on the back cover. Yeah, it's funny you asked that, because in the book there is a section called Choose for Yourself. And in it, I talk a little bit about my decision to leave college. So I decided to drop out of college. I think I said I was 21 or something like that. And the reason I wanted to leave was because I was already, so I started my spiritual journey when I was 19, and then when I was 21 is when I finally made the choice to leave college. So I had already kind of studied or started learning. I was already like training with psychics. But for me, I never wanted to live like a conventional, like work under somebody and like get a retirement and just live a safe and in my opinion, like a boring life, and not actually doing what I wanted to do or living fulfilled, especially because I understood death so well, because I talked about when I was 14 to 19, I also had cancer. So I had very close encounters with death and understanding the impermanence of life. And so making that decision for myself, it was scary, but it was also like, if I died tomorrow, I would want to have followed my dreams and to have lived the fullest life that I wanted to live. To me, that's just so leads to such an unhappy life and an unhappy existence when we have who knows how long to be here. Like when I was 16 and I had cancer, it was like, oh, okay, this could be the end right here. And it really taught me so much about enjoying life and actually doing what I wanted to do. So in that Choose Yourself section, I talk about choosing for yourself, choosing to follow your passions and to actually go full force into what you're wanting to do, even if your family is like, no, you shouldn't be doing that, or you should do this instead, or you should work for our business instead. To me, it makes, for my own life, it makes so much more sense to live happily. How do I choose what's right for myself was the question. There's a lot of answers to that question I think I could give. I would say through intuition of, I guess really understanding what you're wanting in life and really understanding what would make you actually happy. Like there's so many people who would rather live on a farm and live out in the middle of nowhere or live in a forest.
Right, they wouldn't be happy somewhere else.
Right.
No, one of my favorite people, Gerber Mate, is right, very aligned with you. He is a physician, and he talks about getting cancer and things like that they happen because people get misaligned with their path and they're doing something that they don't love to do. And when you do enough of that, you're suppressing your creativity, your intuition. So I'm really much behind what you are creating because you're living your intuition, your passion. And this is what this video is about, helping people find their passion and knowing that it's possible, and you're an example of that. And I'm very happy about you following through with what you want in spite your parents saying no, and realizing that when they say no, it's not something that you could honor, because you have to honor yourself first, which is a miracle. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are still conflicted because they want their loved ones to be aligned with them.
I'm very stubborn. I always follow the inner guidance or the inner voice that tells me you should take this path, and it's never led me astray. Yeah, like you said, really honoring yourself first. It's just how I live. It's just, I guess I'm a very, they call them free spirits. It's just, I think since I was a baby, I've never liked to be controlled or to be told what to do. Like,
you got that fighting spirit, right?
I remember I wanted to like wear fake nails, and my dad was like, you can't wear those, you're too young. I was like 13 or 12 or something, and I remember being so angry because I was like, this is what I want to wear though. Like, I don't like anybody telling me what to do. So maybe it was just my purpose. That's how I came in this world.
I love it. Love it. You're a fighter.
A purpose, something to like look forward to, something that makes life meaningful. I guess like going through such hardships, I've heard quotes before where people say something like, you have to let your voice be heard or your stories be heard, otherwise it was for nothing, basically. So like taking those gems or those moments in time where you learn something and creating something that could help somebody who could be going through those things, I think, like I said, it's led to so much purpose and like a reason to take steps, a reason to take actions, and a lot of fulfillment along the way. And he came by, I was setting up the store, and he wanted to talk to me. And basically he only came by because he wanted to tell me thank you. And he told me that I had talked to him a year beforehand, and I was telling him about Kambo and ayahuasca and the jungle and all these things I was studying and learning about. And he told me, I just came back because I wanted to tell you thank you so much, like you changed my life. And I was like, I don't even know you. But he was like, we had a conversation and you told me all these things, and I've gone on my own journey and I've met so many beautiful people, and I just wanted to come back and tell you thank you so much. And I remember I had tears in my eyes, and I was like, how insane that you can make one conversation and end up changing somebody's life for the rest of their life, and all the people they encounter, and that ripple effect of all those people that can be affected by one conversation that you've had with somebody. So that's kind
and he drove all the way to the mall, came and found you. So yeah, his life must be changed. That's very perseverance on his part, and that is very gratifying to see somebody impacted. And I'm impressed by the level that you get of how the ripple effect, that when somebody shifts, it like really changes everything around them.
Oh my gosh, I've met so many beautiful people, like hundreds, thousands, so many people, because I was going out and exploring. And it taught me so much about tolerance and being able to understand people who come from different backgrounds. Like, I've met people from Russia, or people from Sweden, people from like all over the world, and it really helps you to understand people on a different level and to grow, like I said, a tolerance for differences of opinion. So it's made me a much more of an open person, I think.
And I think that when you listen to people and allow for differences, there's a lot more room to work with.
Or to grow yourself, too. To learn new things. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Well, for the first few years, it was so much fun just exploring and learning. And after writing the book, I think the biggest struggle was getting over those fears of what other people could think, or really confronting those things that maybe I wasn't aware of until I had to get the book out. And learning more about receiving. As I'm creating my own business, because when you write a book, you become an entrepreneur because you're selling your book, and you have to learn about marketing and all kinds of things. So that has definitely been a huge roadblock, or something I've been learning about and changing beliefs about. I guess understanding the beauty that money can have and enjoying it for as long as you can, because a lot of spirituality teaches you about detachment from the material world, because it is always changing. It's always like you can't hang on to anything here. Everything is going to eventually be gone, especially even us. So I guess it's a human thing. It's not necessarily a spiritual thing. It's something that every one of us confronts. We lose people we love, we lose homes, we get money, but we also lose money. So
it sounds like you're really in tune and accepting with the flow of life.
Right.
And you're like, okay, well then that just happened.
Yeah, but I would say the struggle was more about allowing myself to receive more money, or to actually be okay with maybe having lots of material wealth, even though it's going to end up not coming with me when I leave this world.
That's true, and at the same time it's helped you get to Peru and meet shamans and do all sorts of things. So I'm really glad that you learned to receive.
I'm really a very nature person, so I love nature, and I love being out in forest or next to the ocean. So I would say that's always very healing for me. I have lots of beautiful teachers, like Sonia Arias is a very big support system for me. She teaches me so much, and she's so wise. So I would say...
And she has so many interesting classes.
A lot of the people I've been around have been very helpful along my journey. Yeah. I feel like, because I think I wanted at first to say, I would tell her like, oh, this is exactly what's gonna happen, and it's gonna be so beautiful, like you're gonna be so grateful for all these things, and just hang in there. But I think I wouldn't tell her anything, because I think how it happened, how it was handled, even the darkness, I think I wouldn't take it back for anything. Like I would go through it again if I would end up here anyways. So
you know,
does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. It's just so amazing to hear that, because there's so many people who really feel that their darkness is a blessing, because when they come out of it, they see that they couldn't have gotten what they got by going through the process. And yet I always get amazed when I hear that answer. Yeah, so that girl really didn't know it was going to get better, and thank goodness it did. So did that make you trust the universe more?
Right, so I still go through those periods sometimes where it's like a transformative moment, and it's very easy from the outside of being in that place to be like, oh, it's going to get better. And yeah, like the support system has been so helpful for those moments, or like I said, nature.
I guess there's a couple of approaches. There's the approach like, hey, I'm in a dark hole, I'm going to pull myself out by motivating myself. And then there's the approach, hey, I'm in the dark hole and I'm like going to honor and hold my feelings sacred.
I think that's something that came up right now, is not resisting it, but allowing it to be. Like many spiritual teachers talk about the seasons changing, and allowing it to create its process of shedding and releasing all the leaves that don't belong anymore. So allowing for those moments and not pushing against them, I think it makes it much easier to get out of them. In the book, I talk a little bit about being in the darkness. So I talk about how one day I was sitting at the beach and I was watching the sunset, and I thought to myself, like, this is kind of like what life is. Like, the sun is gonna go down, and then tomorrow it's gonna come back up. But we have a choice whether we want to sit in the darkness and scream and cry and say, the sun is gone, oh my gosh, it's horrible, every single night. Or we could sit in the darkness, enjoy the darkness, not necessarily enjoy the darkness, but maybe just sit silently waiting and knowing, okay, it's gonna come back, and inevitably it will come back.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very important to fill your cup first before you try and give to others. So, and I'm very much like a go with the flow kind of person. So if one day I feel like I can't get this done, I just won't. Like, I'll give myself that space to not push myself, or to feel like you have to be productive today. And it's always worked out very well for me, because the best work always comes after I've rested and I've allowed myself to come to a place where the right ideas can flow through. I think allowing for that space to rest has led to much more efficient, or even much more impactful things to come.
So it sounds like self-care is number one for you.
I think so, yeah.
And then the process will flow naturally.
Right.
So what would you say to others who are skeptical, and they're sitting at a job and they're like, I have to do this job because money won't come in, rent's not going to get paid, and they're really not following their dreams? What would you say to them?
I would say, think about that. Think about, if you died tomorrow, would you have wished you took in that step? And it doesn't mean quit your job right now, or make drastic changes, even though sometimes that can be really good for you too. But also, you can take small steps, even if you're in a job, towards actually your vision or your goal or whatever you feel are your gifts in the world. So even if it's just tiny steps, whatever brings fulfillment to you and makes life worth living, I would say always take that step, even if it's on the weekends or early in the morning. Or so I would say, yeah, make time for yourself and for the life you want to live. So you have to be very brave, I think, have a lot of courage. But yeah, it's always worked out for me, and I've always met the right people at the right time. And sometimes I don't know exactly where it's gonna lead or if it's gonna work out, but it usually always does, or I learned something. I printed like these big banners so that eventually I could do book signings, or I could go to maybe festivals or events. So I'm in the process of really bringing everything together. I have a publishing company, so it's on the book. It's the Vibrate to Create publishing company. So I want to write more books eventually. In May, I'll be going to a festival with the woman that I worked for at the spiritual shop. So I'll be able to do book signings and actually interact with people and tell them about my book. So it's all just very in the very beginning stages, and I'm kind of learning as I go and following my intuition wherever it's leading me in all these different paths, and hopefully I end up somewhere good. We'll see. So
it sounds like expanding opportunities and sharing the joy.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the interview.
Yes. Thank you for having me.